Hi, this is Pastor Bob, and welcome to Starbucks Confessional. Well, obviously, we're not at Starbucks. We're sitting in my yard. Our lake is in the background. It's a beautiful day today
It's
in
nice.
Middle Tennessee. And I am joined by my old time friend, Andreas. We've been friends for 10 years, Andreas.
Wow.
Haven't
Yeah.
we? Yeah,
Yeah.
10 years. Yeah, you were
Yes,
just a
true.
kid then, and now you're
Still
old.
is.
Yeah. Oh, Andreas is getting ready to do a new podcast, and one of the joys of my life is really to see my friends podcasting because I think Andreas has some fantastic things to say. And Andreas, you're going to be calling your podcast the Deacon.
True.
Interesting words. Why
Thanks.
the Deacon?
Well, I was thinking, you've asked me for a couple of years if I wanted to do this podcast, and I've tried to push it off, and I don't really like being in front of the camera, um,
Like now?
like now.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, okay, if I should do this podcast, it needs to be something where I grow, where I learn something. And in 2007, I finished my degree as a social worker and a deacon. I studied for 4 years in Denmark. And deacon is from the Bible, where the first churches, they realized that and the apostles, there was a lot of work to be done, both preaching the gospel, planting new churches, making sure that the churches are healthy, and then taking care of the elderly, the orphans, the widows, and so on. Then they established deacons to take care of
Practical needs.
the people in need, the homeless, the hungry, the poor.
And that's really your heart, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm thinking with this podcast, it can be a journey for me that I'd like to invite you on to discover what is it to be a deacon, for me to grow in my identity as a deacon, but then go even further back to grow in my identity as a Christian, as a
That's great.
Christ follower, and try to look at the scriptures and see how did Jesus react with people, and how did he treat people around him.
Very good.
Learn from that.
Fantastic.
All right.
Well, and you probably noticed as Andreas is talking that he kind of talks funny. You do, don't you?
I do.
And why is that exactly?
Been practicing this accent for for many years.
You got it down pretty good, didn't you?
Yeah, the Danish.
Yeah,
The
the Danish accent.
The Danglish.
Now you don't
Danish
you
English.
don't exactly speak Danish, but you've got the accent down.
Yeah. So
Right.
I was born and raised in Denmark for most of my life. I had 3 years as a missionary kid in Nepal, Asia, but lived in Denmark most of my life. I've been living in the United States for coming up 5 years, all in all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Andreas actually used to travel with me. We've been to many countries together, haven't we?
Yeah, quite a few.
Traveling the world and seeing some cool things happen. Andreas, you're ahead of Sanctuary in Denmark as well. This is a great opportunity to tell people a little bit about that.
Sure thing. Yeah. So I was very amazed when I've been playing music most of my life, and I was invited to join a metal band. I guess the subgenre would be a metalcore band in Denmark, and I got really excited about the music, the brutality, and how you can just scream and yell your heart out with a passion.
And do it for God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yell out your convictions.
Yeah.
So I went to this festival called Bob Fest
Yeah.
in Sweden in 2004,
Mhm.
and was blown away by it was a Christian metal music festival, mainly death metal and black metal, some Viking metal and stuff. And I was blown away by the fellowship and how this was a family, people dressed in black, long hair, piercings, lots of tattoos and stuff. And and just very friendly people.
Yeah.
And that was when I met you the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and you were teaching and speaking there, and we were talking a lot. And you really spoke to my heart and soul, and I got very inspired by letting all the people know about this fellowship and about your teaching, and just the family, people who are sitting around in their villages, maybe listening to heavy metal and thinking that they're the only Christian who likes that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of people have that feeling, don't they?
yeah,
They're the only
Yeah.
ones. Yeah. Yeah.
and I remember when, yeah, of course, I can see myself in other people and what they're going through.
Yeah.
So we traveled for a few years, 3 years, and then together at the Christian metal festivals in Europe. And you came to Denmark, and then I thought, okay, Pastor Rob is coming to Denmark. It'll be selfish if I didn't put on some kind of event and happening, so as many people as possible could hear what you had to say, and get some good biblical teaching to use in our everyday life. So I thought, okay, we could throw like a Saturday happening, and my band could play in the basement of the house where we were playing and living, and just hang out, see if maybe 30, 40, 50 people would come. And I shared this with a couple of friends and found out that 2 other bands with young Christian guys playing hardcore and death metal, that they just started. So apparently we were not the only Christian metal band in Denmark.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people got excited about it. So within 3 months after you gave me your arrival date to Denmark, we had a 3-day festival from Friday to Sunday with 240 people, 10 concerts, bands from Denmark, Norway, Sweden. You
It's a
were
great
there,
band.
yeah, and there was just a lot of things happening. We were
It's a great time.
up early, just studying the Bible, and then stay up until the wee hours, headbanging, and
But that was
it
the
was
beginnings of
amazing.
Sanctuary Denmark, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the birth, without knowing it, because you remember Sunday when the festival was over. The festival was called Green Light District Festival, and I all along I thought, okay, this is going to be a one-time thing, since you're in the country, and we had a lot of teenagers coming up to us, emotional, and saying that this has been the best weekend of my entire life.
Yes.
And I promise I'll be here next year, and I'll bring all my friends. And we didn't even mention next year. So
They just assumed you'd have it next year.
so then,
So then you had to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes. So then we just basically been trying to walk in faith since then.
You bet.
One
And
step
they're
at
not
a time.
done yet. You got more stuff coming up in the future.
Yeah.
More announcements. So in the meantime, you're doing this podcast. Andreas, you've just moved to Nashville, and you're going to be here for a year. You and your wife are expecting your first child. Very exciting.
Yeah.
And so in a year, though, after you prepared a little bit more, you've kind of established your family a little bit. You're going to be moving back to Denmark, and kind of going full speed ahead once again with the ministry there.
Yeah.
And you got a good
what we're
staff
aiming
of
for.
people that are handling things there while you're gone, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Very good friends, reliable,
Yes, absolutely.
great hearts.
They're Great Danes.
They're the Great Danes.
Great Danes.
Danish dynamite.
They are.
Yeah.
Well, folks, you're going to love this podcast. And once again, it's called The Deacon. And you got the best deacon right here. This guy has a heart for the homeless, for people that are going through difficulties, a lot of different kinds of social work, but just especially for people kind of outside the box, so to speak. And Andreas has some fantastic things to say, so don't miss his podcast called The Deacon.